for business now with Marcus Carlson.
Yes, hi there, Melissa. Hi, everyone. We're going to start with the earnings season, which is in full bloom. Investors, they're paying close attention after a global stock market rally last year. They're looking for signs where the company results support further gains. Let's take a look at some of those signals that we are now getting. Citigroup's quarterly profit fell short of expectations, coming in at $2.7 billion. This as the US-based bank saw its bond and mortgage business weaken between October and December. Citigroup's CEO still says that the bank made some progress with quarterly costs coming in lower than last year. Meanwhile, another American bank, Goldman Sachs, reported a fall in quarterly earnings between October and December. Goldman made $2.25 billion. That's more than 20% lower than during the same period last year. The chief executive of Goldman says the environment is, quote, somewhat challenging, unquote. And looking away from the banking industry, the world's biggest electronic goods store, Best Buy, says it had a disappointing Christmas period. Sales, they were down at the American company during the 9 weeks that ended on the 4th of January. Best Buy says it suffered from tough competition and heavy discounting to attract customers. Let's take a look then at what's happening on the stock markets on the back of all of those earnings. We're seeing stocks in the United States trading lower this session, bar the Nasdaq, which is ever so slightly above that flat line. The Dow Jones, though, down around about 0.5%. In Europe earlier, we saw stock markets close below the flat line. The retail sector was under pressure after some weaker than expected reports. The Paris CAC 40 down around about 0.33%. This as the French retailer Carrefour lost 3.7% after a pretty sort of lackluster report there. Now, shares in car makers like Renault and Fiat, they were up during European trading. It follows signs of real improvement when it comes to car sales in the European Union. Dealers in Europe sold 13% more cars in December than during the same month in 2012. It's the strongest growth figure in 4 years. And let's take a look at those figures then. You'll see here the uptick in December. It's seen as a sign that the market is turning up again after an otherwise bad year. If you take all of 2013 into account, sales, they were down 1.7%. It's the 6th straight year of contraction. We're going to switch gears next. The World Bank said this week that the global economy is to accelerate as it shakes off the remnants of the global financial crisis. Still, there are warnings of dangers ahead. The IMF, for one, says that there's a threat of deflation and that it could hurt growth. And the World Economic Forum has a warning that some may not expect from the organizer of a get-together for the global elite.
A positive outlook for 2014. That's according to the IMF and World Bank, which signal that the global economy is headed for improvement. In a report earlier this week, the World Bank went so far as to say the global economy has turned a corner. Meanwhile, the IMF says deflation risks hampering the recovery.
With inflation running way below central bank targets in most corners, clearly we are seeing rising risk of deflation, which could prove disastrous for the recovery.
Ahead of next week's World Economic Forum in Davos, the forum has warned of increased income disparities in 2014. In its global risk report, it says the generation coming of age in the 2010s faces high unemployment and precarious job situations. The WEF's chairman outlined what Davos aims to accomplish this year.
The world is much too much still caught in a crisis management mode. And we forget that we should take now into our hands and we should look for solutions for the really fundamental issues.
According to the forum, addressing income inequalities and youth unemployment will have long-term consequences on the global economy. At the very least, it could help diffuse pent-up tensions that have hit developing economies, Turkey and Brazil, last year.
Okay, with that, I'm going to throw it back to you, Melissa.
Thank you very much indeed, Marcus. 21 minutes past 9 here in Paris. In just under 10 minutes, I'll be back with another look at the very latest headlines. First, though, here's a look at all that's making news and waves on the World Wide Web.